I'm Dave, and I work with my colleagues in the Global Opportunities team at Plymouth University in Plymouth Global. Now then, Chelsea yesterday gave a superb presentation. So I've spent all morning trying to make mine as good as Chelsea's. So let's go on to
I'll also mention that Dave and I actually got to meet in person this September, which was a really fun opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this presentation.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love doing this sort of thing. So just in case you didn't know where we are, you can see where Plymouth is in relation to London. So we're on the south west coast of the United Kingdom, almost on the most westerly point of the UK, sticking right out into the Eastern Atlantic. We're right on the coast, but you can get tours from London in just over 3 hours on the fast train, and the train journey itself is one of spectacularly beautiful, especially along the coast. So it's worth coming to Plymouth just to make that journey. So that's where we are. A little bit about the university itself. We started life back in 1862 as the School of Navigation. We then became a polytechnic, which is a vocational institution. And in 1992, I think it was, we became a university. We now have 3 faculties: Arts and Humanities and Business, the Faculty of Health and the Faculty of Science and Engineering. You said you were business?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, okay. So we do have a faculty, we do have a Plymouth Business School, which sits in the Faculty of Business. So that's the University of Plymouth in a nutshell. This year, we were awarded gold in the UK's Teaching Excellence Framework, which is an annual survey of students and their views of universities. And gold means that we were outstanding in student outcomes and experience, which makes us gold overall. We're also a top 5 young university in the world. And as you can see, there's 1 or 2 other bits of statistics there. So if you were to come to us, you'd be coming to a bit of quality.
That's definitely important.
Yeah. Next slide.
Very modest of you, Dave.
Right, I'm now going to show you something of Plymouth itself. And I'm hoping that this link will work. Yes, it does. Okay, so you can see there that we're right on the coast, which is, I think, more or less the same as Acadia. Okay.
Yeah,
we have the Bay of Fundy.
Yeah, this photo actually reminds me a lot of home, which is Halifax for me. So.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so what is it? An hour away from Halifax? Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm not too far from home here.
No, okay. On this slide, when Chelsea makes these available to everybody, I've hyperlinked in the top corner, and there's a sort of publicity video. And if you don't mind, you have to indulge me a little bit because I haven't run this one before. So now, can you see the Visit Plymouth page?
No, we're still in the presentation. So you might just be sharing the presentation page and not your full screen.
I'll just switch it. I'm not very familiar with, let's just have a look. If it doesn't work, it's not a major problem.
If I have the link, I could even share my screen.
Here we go. Here we go.
Perfect.
Can you see that now? Okay, I don't know how I'm going to get back to the presentation, but we'll give it a go. Right, now, this slide this view here. It basically just shows you something of Plymouth, some of the areas. This is our old Royal Naval port. This is Plymouth Breakwater, the old Tudor port. There's the naval port again, the old one. Plymouth Hoe with the War Memorial. Another view of one at the other side of Plymouth with the Mountbatten Castle. Plymouth Lido, the city centre. Another view of the breakwater. Plymouth Barbican again, giving you a feel for the old-fashionedness of it. A view across the whole of Plymouth Hoe. And once again, a view of Plymouth. So that just gives you a taste of the university, of where we are. Hopefully we'll get back to that presentation.
You're nailing it.
Well, even at my age, I can still learn. Right, so that's a bit of Plymouth. There's also, and again, I'm not going to bother you too much with all of those links, but some of those names might be familiar to you at the top there. So the Pilgrim Fathers and Charles Darwin in particular, both set sail from Plymouth back in history. Sir Francis Drake was a great British sea captain that basically stuck it to the Spanish on behalf of Queen Elizabeth I back in 1588. But prior to that, he completed the world's first circumnavigation. Okay, and then at the bottom there, Captain Cook, he made 3 major voyages of discovery from Plymouth, basically charting the whole of the southern seas and transformed the way we all view the world. Lively city centre, and of course you've got a gateway to some of the most beautiful parts of Plymouth. And again, if you click on the Ocean City link this time, let's just get back to sharing it. There we go. Okay, we have things like the National Marine Aquarium. This page is full of information and things to do in Plymouth. It's just packed with that sort of thing. So you're welcome to browse through that to your heart's content.
Nice to know some of the non-academic activities students can do.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Well, I was in 2 minds as to whether to put this at the start or the end, but I've got to basically, going by the reaction of our students to your presentation yesterday, Chelsea, I thought Kate would probably like to know about what can be offered outside of the academic, but we'll come on to the academic stuff now. Okay, and we have various offers. Again, each one of these is hyperlinked, and some of them will be more of interest to you than others. The link to Plymouth Global will take you to our pages for incoming students, including how to choose your modules or your classes, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. And the link to student accommodation takes you to details of what accommodation is available. We always reserve on-campus accommodation for incoming students, so you should have no fear of not being able to find anything.
That's always good peace of mind for our students.
Yeah. Basically, what will happen is that once you've been accepted, you'll be able to log on to our intranet and onto the student accommodation portal, and you'll be able to book your accommodation and pay for it online. So we try to make it as easy as possible, but you can see there's loads of other stuff there. We're particularly noted at this university for our attention to students' health and well-being. So you should have no concerns on that front. I will click on the Plymouth Global link, and I'm now going to just take you through a little bit of what's available on the website. Just go through the sharing bit again.
And you'll probably notice that a lot of our partners have beautiful updated websites, unlike our exchange website, but we are striving to be like them.
It already is looking much better, Chelsea.
I was admiring it the other day. I thought it looked better than ours, to be honest. Right, so you can see where it says Global Opportunities with Plymouth. You can get to that page by clicking on the link in the presentation. And if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see there student mobility. Click on that. Scroll down a little bit more. And you will be an arrival. So click on the arrivals link. And that takes you basically to the page exclusively for incoming students, with all the details there. The nomination form is for Chelsea to use when she nominates you. Once you're nominated, we will send you an exclusive link to our online application form, which you access using the student number, which we'll send to you. So that's your sort of password. And that then gets you into the application form. We ask students to get their applications in for semester 1 or the full year by the end of May every year, and for semester 2 by the beginning of November. Okay, once the application comes in, and after that date has passed, we send your application to the appropriate academics with a request that they let us know within a week whether or not they're prepared to accept you. If they say they're not, I just basically go around and tell them that they can't say that. So once your nomination has been accepted, you're more or less guaranteed to be accepted. Okay, but we have to go through this application procedure anyway. I'm sorry about that. It can be a bit of a nuisance.
We're all about formalities.
Yeah. Once that's done, we will send you a formal acceptance letter, which you can then use to get your visa and all of that sort of stuff. Okay, so we can usually let you know within about 3 weeks of the application deadline whether or not you've been accepted, or that you have been. We can formally give you your acceptance within 3 weeks. Scrolling a bit further down, these panels are the ones that are probably most important to you. I need to add a panel to this, which is about accommodation, but I haven't done that yet. So the main ones that you're going to be interested in, Kate, will probably be the one about modules. We use the word modules to describe what you would probably describe as classes. And if you click on that link, hopefully you can still see it. Basically, there are hyperlinks to all of our faculties and schools. If you're interested in the Plymouth Business School, you would click on that link. But before you do that, down the bottom there is just some guidance there to choosing your modules. Okay, now you're basically free to choose any module, and if we can fit it into a timetable for you, we will. If we can't fit it into a timetable, you'll have to find another module to do. We've also tried to explain the module levels and which would be appropriate. So Kate, as you're in your second year, in Canada, do you start year 1 as a freshman?
We don't really use like the freshman, junior, sophomore terms, but you'd come in right after you high school into year one.
Okay. And what, and so, yeah, all right. So that's probably similar to ours then. So how long is your degree? Is it 3 years?
It's 4 years.
Okay. Chelsea and I can have a discussion about that, but if you're in year 2 and you're looking to study abroad in your year 3, okay, you would be looking at our stage 2 or level 5 programs, which would be in US parlance, the junior year. So the year before you graduate. Okay, so let's show you. Yeah, and we described the standard and the levels just there. Okay, so there's plenty of stuff there. Now, at the bottom of the page, this is important. There is a link to what we call our academic exchange advisors. And these are our academics here who you can contact and talk to about the academic content of the classes or modules that you're looking at. Okay, now going back then up the page, if you click on the business school, well, we'll follow the instructions on the web page. So go to the courses and degree area, and you've got 2 ways you can find what you're interested in. Either click on the appropriate heading there, business management, finance, blah, 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 or do a search. We'll click on the business. Discover our degrees. Some of this is it's a bit click happy, but we found that it actually is probably the most straightforward way of helping students to find what they need to find. So when you say business, is there a particular area, or would business management be the right one?
I am majoring in accounting, so
okay, so let's click on account. Yeah. Okay, so this is our undergraduate degree in accounting and finance, and this is typical of all the pages that you'll look at. So there's all sorts of stuff there, but the main thing for you to look at is course details. So you click on there, and that lists by year what is taught in that year. Okay, so in year 2, there are management, financial accounting, careers, development. You wouldn't do that one. That's a 0 credit one. Challenge module, which is basically where you can more or less choose what you like, and then some optional modules. Normally, a full-time workload for 1 semester, you would do 3 modules, each worth 20 credits. Okay, but what this doesn't tell you is when those modules run. And to find that information, you go to the bottom of this course details list and click on the program specification, and then go down to, I think it's section 6, which sets out the program structure. And you can see there for level 5, which is year 2, what's being taught when. And interestingly, in semester 1, and this is in this program is for the year commencing 24-25, so for the year that you're planning to come to us. Okay, you've got management accounting, which is 40 credits, and then a choice of either financial markets or taxation, which is worth 20 credits. That gives you your 60. Okay, and then you've got for semester 2 another 40 credit and a 20 credit module. So you can see when they run and what they're worth. Okay, and that
Sorry, I just have one question about courses. If I spoke with my academic advisor here at Acadia, and he said I also could take my required courses at Acadia and then stack elective courses. when I go abroad.
Yes.
If I did choose to do that route, would I just be able to pick like any course to take, or is there a specific bank of electives, or?
As long as we can put it into a timetable, but quite a few students do that. So you actually study fewer than 60 credits. And, you know, you might choose something from an entirely different subject area. In those circumstances, you're probably less likely to be accepted onto a year 2 class because you would have needed the first year's prior learning. So it would, you would, if you were to do that, you would probably need to be looking at our level 4 year 1 courses.
Okay.
Simply because you wouldn't have the necessary prior learning to do them at the higher level.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to go back to the presentation.
I think that's a great opportunity though, Kate, to do your business classes here and then kind of diversify your education when you're abroad.
Yeah,
exactly. Just because I know, at least for getting your CPA in Canada, you need like certain Canadian courses. So I'd be able to complete those here and make sure I'm on track to get my certification.
I'm afraid we don't allow our students that facility, which is a shame, but I don't know, the British education system tends to be a little bit inflexible. Okay, those are our contact details, and you can see that we're quite a fun group. So you can always, you don't need to have any worries about contacting us. And then the last thing is basically, once again, I've embedded a video into that, which you can look at your leisure. I won't bore you with it now. I mean, it's actually quite interesting, but so have a look at it if you want to. I think I'm going to be back again for your study abroad stuff next week, aren't I, Chelsea? So
yeah, we're hosting a general one for potential incoming students, so we welcome faculty and staff to join as well.
Yeah, I'll come along, and if there's anybody wants to ask me a question, I'm quite happy to do it. And on that note, Kate, I'm done. If you've got any further questions, I'm very happy to answer them for you.
I do have one question, or two, I guess. The first one is, are there any like rail passes included as being a student and at the University of Plymouth, or transportation passes, I suppose?
In semester 1, this is something that all universities do. Before the start of teaching, we have what are called an induction week and an orientation week. The orientation week is 2 weeks before the start of teaching, and it's followed by the induction week. We ask the international students to come to the university for the orientation week. So you arrive 2 weeks before teaching starts. And if you come in semester 1, we will pick you up from Heathrow Airport and bring you to Plymouth. When you're at Plymouth, there are various transportation cards that you can get through public transport and that sort of stuff, but we don't issue them at the university. There's really no need, because everything is so close by that nobody needs to catch a bus to go anywhere. You can just walk. It's probably quicker to walk than catch a bus, to be honest. There are, in the UK, young persons rail cards, which give you a 30% discount on all your rail fares. So as I don't know whether or not you're eligible for one, I don't see why you wouldn't be. So that's worth looking at. And if you're over 65, like I am, you can get a free bus pass. But I don't think you're quite that. Yeah.
Yeah,
next year you'll be 65, right, Kate?
Yes. Very much so. Yeah, I'm definitely planning on doing a bit of exploring around the UK and the rest of Europe while I'm over.
Definitely.
My other question is just about housing and accommodation. For international students, what are the options of on-campus housing? Is it like apartment style or traditional dorm style?
Not dorms. You will have your own ensuite single room. That is standard right across the university. They're usually shared cooking facilities, although you can sign up for a meal plan, but that's something that will be offered to you when you register for your accommodation. Okay, we've got plenty of cafes on campus, some of them offering sort of traditional English food, like a full English breakfast and fish and chips, that sort of thing. Or if you're more inclined to the healthier style, we've got a vegetarian restaurant, we've got a pizza restaurant, that sort of stuff. Okay, so yeah, when you come to choose your accommodation, every room is single with ensuite, but you will share the sort of kitchen area, that sort of thing.
Great, thank you so much.
That's a pleasure.
That pretty much concludes all the questions I have.
Dave, I was wondering maybe you can speak about like the academic calendar and like the exam
Yes.
kind of exceptions that can be made.
Yeah, there are on that original page that I showed you where the panel for choosing the modules, next to it there's something about exams. Basically, the UK academic calendar runs from the end of September to the end of January. So there's a bit of an overlap between your semesters and ours. We usually try and persuade students who are coming to study with us to choose modules that don't require exams in January. Okay, but if you can't do that, as long as you let us know by, I think it's the middle of October, that you are going to have to be home in January when the exams are being sat, we can arrange for you to sit them at home at a time when you're not sitting them at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
Great.
All of the guidance it's on the website, and as long as you let us know in good time, we can time the exams here to be a bit more social in terms of time than otherwise they might be.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, I wasn't aware of the academic year overlap. So
Yeah,
as soon as I were to go, sorry, you go ahead.
I was just going to say that the second semester starts at the beginning of February and ends at the end of May.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah.
And Dave, is there a way when they're looking at the courses to see which ones have exams and which ones don't?
We have something called module records, and those tell us when the exams are. But when you arrive here, Kate, you'll be given access to our digital learning environment, the Moodle. We call it the DLE, through the University of Plymouth app, which you'll load onto your smartphone. And you'll be able to see immediately, once you're registered on the courses, you'll be able to see immediately whether or not there are exams. But in choosing your modules, when you talk to the academic exchange advisors here, they will tell you whether or not there are exams. I would imagine in accounting that there will be exams. So you may well, I mean, you have two choices in that respect. You can either have them proctored back home, as I've described, or you can just stay on and do them here in January if you don't have to be back at Acadia before the end of January.
Okay.
Or do the full year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do the full year, or you'd be very welcome to do that. And I have to say, as an accountant myself, accounting is no different in UK than it is anywhere else in at least the Western world.
That's really good to know. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I'll get a more global view, but it'll.
Well, you certainly will get that. Yeah. Yeah, we'll touch you all about our statements of standard accounting practice and all of the other stuff.
all very fun and interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Well,
already
I
lost me.
Yeah.
I agree
There's
in my
some-
mind too.
Yeah, there's something very satisfying about watching a balance sheet balance.
Oh, exactly. There's no better feeling than seeing the numbers match up.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. My sort of Cinderella time has come. And if I don't
Perfect.
get
Well,
going,
thank you so much, Dave, and we appreciate you answering all the questions.
it's
Yeah,
my
thank
pleasure.
you.
I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. It really
Okay.
helped me.
No, my pleasure, Kate. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next year.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.